Taking off in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yo, it's your boy T.O. as you know.
It's your boy O-Rain, real name, no games, no gimmicks.
Yo, it's the motherfucking Fade Podcast, the one-stop shop for everything TV, media, and film related, along with any of the goddamn thing we want to talk about, coming to you live, direct, Proof of Concept Studios. What the fuck's up? What's up?
This has been like, what is today, Wednesday?
Today is indeed Wednesday. That's when we do the show.
Yeah, like maybe it's end of year. Oh, it's fucking December 1st. Can you believe that?
It's great.
I'm still like processing 2020, right? And then 2021 is almost done. But also fuck this year. You know what I mean? Like 2020 was so crazy that like 2021 is just a wash. It's just a matter of like, did you make it? You know what I mean? Like,
she make it to the finish line?
It's like, goddamn, we're here. You know what I mean? Like, now we can rebuild, but like, goddamn, we're here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have a job? Did you lose your house? Like, you know, like, is everything okay?
Well, there are a lot of people who are answering various things to those very loaded questions.
2020 was like the night when you go out and you, oh my God, this is going to be a great year, but then everything goes to shit.
Well,
and then
did we expect for 2020?
2020 was it was just a aesthetically pleasing looking year. You write it on paper.
2020?
2020, yeah.
20,
you know, it's just like 2020.
From 2019's vantage point, right?
Yeah, so going into 2020,
gotcha.
you're like,
okay.
Yo, 2020, this is pretty cool.
Turn up.
Yeah, this is going to be a good year. This fitting to be my year. Do you know how many people said that? Yeah. And then March 15th, shut it down. Shut everything down.
Yikes.
And then 2021, it's like the day after when you got the hangover and you're just like, oh my God, I feel like shit. I'm alive. I made it, but I feel like shit. Like, where's my wallet? I lost my phone. You know, like my car, I got a ticket on my car. And then you're just like, oh, fuck this. And then the next day, you're like, all right, I'm going to start over tomorrow and I'm going to feel better. So that's going to be 2022.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, dude. You know, all I can really say, man, is, you know, I understand how you might feel a little down right now. Every now and then we go through adversity in our lives, right? We take on these challenges.
I know where you're going with this. I know where you're going with this.
You know what's amazing about life sometimes here, Rain, is that, you know, Fabe, shout out to Fabe, my new workout buddy. We're starting to go into the gym now. Hit the gym together. Good times. Fabe, when we play the 49ers, when I say we, of course, anybody who knows me knows I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers. We played the 49ers, and Fabe, through a very series of events, said, man, how come you only talk shit? When after this dub secured, I was like, well, thank you for the compliment, because it takes patience to not talk shit before the dub is indeed secure. I was very tempted this entire past week to talk endless shit about the LA Rams, because of course the Rams played the Packers, and you've been talking shit for quite some time.
Tell the truth, though.
That is the truth.
Describe my shit talking.
What falsehoods shall I be? What am I?
So for our listeners, here's my shit talking.
Yeah.
Occasionally in the group chat, like once or twice a week leading up to the match, I would text like, you know, 11. I think we played on 11/28, or was it the 29th?
It's the 29th, but you kept saying 11/28, so I was very confused. Yeah.
No, well, I kept saying that I hope Aaron Rodgers gets suspended until 11/29, right? Which is like the day after the game. So
it's
it wouldn't
the
have
day
mattered.
of the game.
No, we played on the 28th.
It's the 29th.
You sure? I don't know, bro.
No, you're right. It's 20th.
Yeah, so I was saying I hope he gets suspended until the 29th. Right? But my shit talking was like, 11/28, we coming. We're gonna see you 11/28. Can't wait till 11/28. Yeah, my shit talking is never like Aaron Rodgers is a bum. Fuck the Packers. Devontae ain't shit. We're gonna fuck y'all up.
Sure, if I do an inventory,
100%. Yeah, because like even if I'm playing Fabe's team, I'm never like, oh fuck Jimmy Garoppolo. Fuck the 49ers. We're gonna kick your ass.
Like 6 times in a row, so I could understand why you wouldn't do that in that case.
But we've sure, like they, for whatever reason, we always play down to the 49ers, but we always take the division too.
Pass down to the 49ers because you keep losing to
but we always take the division, so like even if we lose to them, I'm kind of like we're still gonna be number 1 or 2 in the division. But no, my shit talking is never trashing players. I don't trash players or trash teams. I talk up the game. Yeah. But it was a good game. You guys won.
No, it was a terrible game. I expected more.
It was a terrible game for
the Rams.
For Matt Stafford. I think.
No, for the Rams as a whole. Defense, offense, special teams wasn't great. Wasn't a great output.
I mean, it was a higher scoring game, so yeah, I think our defense could have did a lot of work.
Garbage time. You guys got a lot of those points in garbage time when the game was pretty much already locked up.
Yeah, you know, Matt Stafford gave you guys 16 points. It was hard to come back from that. Our defense was like fighting uphill. Yeah. But either way, we got the Jags this week. Short-term memory. We move forward.
It's these times in life that you're gonna miss. You know, when it's all said and done, you're gonna miss these moments when you're able just to talk endless shit to your friends.
I don't know what you're talking shit about. I don't know who you're talking shit to. Because you know why? We got the Jags this week.
So what about the okay?
That's all that matters.
So moving past the fact that you guys actually might lose to the Jags, defeating the Jaguars is not something that you can really hang your hat on.
It's not the small victories or losses that matter. It is, it's not the battles. It's the war.
Okay.
Right?
What's the war here?
The war is to get to and win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
and then
that's also not going to happen.
You have to go through those 16 or 17 battles to do it, right? So each battle doesn't matter as much as winning the war.
Yeah, and what happens if you guys lose to the Jags this week? What happens to the war?
Then we got the Cardinals that week after that.
You know what? I love it. I love the dogged dedication. Listen, you're not jumping off the bandwagon here. You're not heading for the hills.
A great man once said, "Spaceships don't come equipped with rear view mirrors. They dip as quick as they can." We got the Jags this week
for sure. Anyways, I had to talk shit because that's what we got to do when our teams play each other. As I'm sure you would with me. If
I gloat silently.
That's bullshit. No, you wouldn't.
Silent gloater.
Every 2 months, you would just text the score or some shit to me. Come on. You
every 3 months. It's 2 months is that's insensitive.
Yeah. When have you ever been concerned with being too insensitive? A couple other things. We were talking before the show started about like just this whole idea of just having like an off week. You're just having one of those weeks. And I just wanted to say for those people who might kind of be in that same boat, whether it's this week, last week, a future week, look, it's up to you to get yourself out of it, man. I was thinking about it just before you came over to the studio, and what I kind of came to the conclusion of is that, like, look, I'm not saying at all that it's up to you to overcome your own mental health issues, because I think that's silly. That's a silly thing to propose, that it's solely on just your thought. You can just move your thoughts past whatever mental thing but it is your responsibility to decide that you want this thing to be like, to get past this hurdle or this, whatever the thing is, right? It's not solely your thing to deal with as far as getting over that hump, but it is your responsibility to say that you want to get over that hump and actually go through the steps. So if you need something else to help you, if you need a therapist, if you need some sort of medication, if you need just friends, people to talk to, whatever the case is, it's your responsibility to come to that conclusion and say, hey, I need this help to get over this hump, right? And so I think for me, just like mentally speaking, I kind of had a pep talk with myself. All right, self, let's sit down. Hey, let's clean this shit up here, okay? Yeah. Let's clean up house here. You want something, you have something you want to do, fucking do it. Stop fucking crying about your inability to do it and just get the shit done. Yeah. It's not like you've never done this before. And so, anyways, in having this challenging week, mentally speaking, I think I'm realizing like, just fucking nut up, you know what I mean? And for me in this particular situation, I'm able to do that, but I'm not saying that that's the same thing that happens for everybody who's dealing with whatever thing mentally.
What's crazy? Like literally me and my girlfriend, we were having this conversation last night, right? Whereas I'm of the philosophy that sometimes you have to choose happiness and not everybody does. Some people like to live in their sadness, right? Now, and her rebuttal to that was like, oh, like, well, do you think people who suffer from depression, like, do you think it's that easy for them? Like, sometimes they want to be happy, they just can't.
Right.
And I believe that, and I sympathize with that 100%, right? But what I will say to that is, like, even if you do suffer from depression, the only way, and whether you're suffering from depression, you're just going through a bad period in your life, you're not going through a bad period in your life, you're just being lazy, right? Whatever the thing is, whether it's choosing to be happiness long term, or it's choosing to be happiness day by day, or choosing to be happy about small things that occur throughout your day. Like, for me, I feel like a lot of times it starts with the choice, like waking up in the morning, getting out of bed on time, brushing your teeth right away, not jumping on Instagram or TikTok as soon as you wake up, and like looking yourself in the mirror, kind of like what you said you did today, and being like, all right, you know what, today I'm gonna choose to be productive. I'm gonna choose to be happy. I'm gonna choose to get shit done. I'm gonna choose to find something today to make my day worth it. And you got to start there. You're not going to be good every day. You're not going to be good every week. Shit, you may have an off. We talked about having an off day. You may have an off month, but you got to find a way out of that shit. Otherwise, 1 month is going to roll into like 3, and then 3 months rolls into 6, and then 2021 is almost over.
Yeah, I mean, I can sympathize with what she's saying, because I don't think it's like that. Like what I was just saying, I feel like for me in this particular situation of just this week, I've just been like kind of like in a fog of just like I've got a lot of shit to do, and I just haven't been able to get to a majority of it. But I think for me in this moment, it's like kind of as easy as like pep talk time, self, you know. But I think for other people, when it comes to things like being happy and all that, I think that's a much deeper situation that's applicable to everybody in their own scenario. I don't think that there's one.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a easy like 1, 2, 3 step program or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just generally speaking, I mean, sometimes it does start with a choice. Like, for example, like there was a point in time in which we were like, all right, are we going to do this podcast thing or are we not? And then it was a choice to be like, all right, you know what? Yes, I am going to do it. And then you have to follow up that choice with like actions, right?
Yeah. It's
like any plan without actions is bound to fail. A choice or decision without a plan or actions behind it is going to fail as well.
Yeah. Yeah. In any case, that has nothing to do with any of the main topics we're going to talk about today, but I figured I'd start off with that.
Some good advice, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we like to throw some self-help stuff out there, on the podcast.
This isn't a meaningless podcast. I know it.
Branch the podcast off into some sort of self-help.
No, you come here for movie and jokes and inappropriate comments. You might learn a thing or two.
That's fair. So yeah, with that, we'll get to this week, next week. So this week we've got coming out. This particular week in December is dry as fuck. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's Licorice Pizza that's coming out. That's kind of like an indie movie that seems to be perking up some people's ears. I think I'm gonna check it out. I think it's exclusively in theaters. I'm pretty sure that's the case. But I'm not seeing much that's going out, man. I know Hawkeye just came out last week, and there's not much on the horizon for the first couple of weeks of December. Although we actually are going to talk about that, so I'm immediately lying as I say that, because we are actually going to talk about a reboot that's coming out shortly. But yeah, man, I don't know if it's like. I'm like the COVID kind of fucked everything up, man, where it's like sometimes we get like 4 movies in a row that's like, oh shit, like this entire week is lit, and then 2 months go by and you're like, I have not seen anything that's of note even remotely.
Yeah, what we got coming in December is we got
we got some
Spider-Man
bangers.
No Way Home. Don't we also have The Matrix 4? Yeah, I'm not really hype on the Spider-Man, but the Matrix, I'm looking forward to that. I thought that shit was coming in 2022, but they bumped up the calendar, didn't they?
Well, they bumped back the calendar because it was supposed to be back in 2020 that we got this.
Oh, really?
Now we're getting it in 2021. So yeah, I am beyond ecstatic to see it. Look, I'm keeping my expectations very, very fucking low for this movie. Now, and this is with saying that I have indeed gone back and watched the sequels, both Reloaded and Resurrections. We'll talk about this actually later, like unpopular takes. But an unpopular take is I kind of fuck with them, dude. Like, I think that there's a lot of people who are like, yo, those sequels were garbage. I think that it suffered from what I feel like sometimes it's like the surface level thing of the acting and some of like the stylistic choices. Those weren't great with the sequels, but the underlying messages and the philosophy behind the films I thought was top notch. And honestly, still on par with the first film. In that, and by God, if you haven't watched the fucking sequels yet, I'm apologizing, I guess, ahead of time for the spoiling I'm about to do for you, but also stop living under your rock.
Yeah. Don't apologize.
But to see him oh man, we broke free from the Matrix and we're out of it in part one or in the first Matrix, and then reload it, we get to find out, oh wait, that was kind of all a part of the plan all along. Like that's just another system of control. And then in 3 we get, it's sort of a little bit all over the place, but one of the main ideas is this idea of I guess one of the prevailing ideas throughout the entire series, which is free will versus determinism. Do we get to choose our own fate, or is somebody choosing it for us, or something, or choosing it for us, and it's already sort of like laid out. Anyways, so I just went down that rabbit hole for no discernible reason, all to say that I am very much looking forward to the Matrix Resurrections, but I'm going into it low expectations, so I'm not disappointed. And not that I think that it's going to be shitty, but I just don't want to be like, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest movie ever, and and then to see it and be like, it was
I think my expectations are tapered like fairly like where they should be. Like
not overly hyped, but not.
I'm just happy. Yeah. I'm just excited to see more of this story, right? Like whatever story they tell, good. I just want to see more of it. That's really all it is. Do I think they're going to do it justice? Yeah, I don't think Keanu, Carrie-Anne Moss, and like some of the returning cast members, I know those two aren't the only ones, but I don't think they're going to come back to this project if it wasn't worthwhile. And I remember reading like a small excerpt from a interview Keanu did, and he talked about like how he was reluctant to come back to that project, and it wasn't until he read the script and saw the story and where they're going with it that he was just like, all right, I have to do this project. Like this is not something I could pass on. I have to finish the story, and the story is going to be great. So I'm excited for it, but I'm not, like, to your point, I'm not going over the moon, and I don't have these like super high expectations. I want it to be, if I want it to be anything, like a final complete story, kind of like what we got with Logan.
Yeah.
Logan had the action.
I don't think there's going to be a final story. No.
Or like a final, the final story with like Keanu, right? With like his version of the one. Because even if there's more Matrix films coming down the pipeline, I don't think Keanu's going to be in it. So finish telling me this story of this character.
Why do you say that?
I don't know.
He's just getting old?
I think he was even reluctant to do this film. So but
I think that's it, because he's still clearly he has no problem doing like 18 John Wick movies. So it's not. I don't think it's about like the physical toll. I think the reason why you'd be reluctant to go back to the Matrix is, for one, he saw how much heat the sequels took, and those are actually pretty decent. So if you spend all this time away from it, and honestly, the Matrix is still, like, culturally speaking, it's on the Mount Rushmore, I think, of film history, For sure. It has to be, or at least the Matrix trilogy as a whole, and I guess speaking even more to just like the first Matrix, it's just so fucking iconic. It's like, well, do we really want to fuck around with this thing? Because we could just spoil it all for everybody. Yeah. Or we could leave it, or if we come back to it, we could fuck it up for everybody, right? Although I'm not a believer that saying that the thing that comes after whatever your original thing is,
it doesn't tarnish the first three.
I feel like it's different, right? It's different for a sequel, because there's a world where in this fourth Matrix that they can fuck up what we believed to be true in the first Matrix, just like they did in the Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Resurrections. It kind of fuck with like what we thought to be true. So they could fuck it up in the sense that, like, oh, that thing you thought was true, yeah, that's definitely not true at all. From the first and second and third films. But anyways, that actually bleeds into a very interesting conversation. We're going to jump the headlines real quick. So Jessica Henwick, and we remember Jessica Henwick from Iron Fist.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Okay,
She was the lead, or I guess the co-lead. I don't know. Well, I guess the dude who played Danny Tran. Danny.
Is that girl we both hate? No.
That's from Daredevil.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No.
God, I don't want to talk about her.
No, not her. She played opposite. Who's the dude from Iron Fist? The
Froggy.
No, that's from Iron Fist, not from
Iron Fist.
We all hated Iron Fist.
Yeah,
I would assume.
I don't fucking know.
Anyways, Jessica Henwick. We remember her from that. At least I do. I don't know.
Yeah, she played Colleen Wing, and it was like Danny Rand. Finn Jones.
Yeah.
What's his name?
So it just came out this week that she actually she was supposed to be in Shang-Chi actually, or at least she was supposed to audition for Shang-Chi, and I'm assuming that was probably going to be the role that Awkwafina ended up taking, but who knows? But basically, or it's either that or her sister. One of the two. You watched Shang-Chi, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's probably that or her sister. One of those two, obviously, that I would probably assume that she was going to audition for. But basically, both studios came out and be like, "You've got to fucking choose. All right, either us or them." Now, what makes it really weird is that it wasn't as if she auditioned. At least as far as I'm understanding, and I could be corrected if I'm if I'm getting this wrong, but they wouldn't even let her audition for either role. That she had to choose either between Shang-Chi or Matrix Resurrections, and she could not do. She couldn't do both. She couldn't audition for both and then figure out.
Yeah, you can't be Blood and Crip.
But you can't. I can't even audition to be.
No, you can't. You can't audition for the Bloods and then audition for the Crips. You can't have a red rag and a blue rag. You gotta pick a rag.
I think the reason why I find that so odd is because. For one, people do that shit all the time. Like people, like Keanu Reeves is in 18 different franchises right now. Who else? There's just so many actors and actresses who are in just a lot of shit. They're just actors and actresses in both DC and Marvel shit, So it's weird that they tell her that. Also, like the two things have nothing to do with each other. The Matrix has no bearing on any superhero shit.
They probably didn't want any like scheduling conflicts, right? Where stars like, I'm doing this project and I'm booked for these next 2 weeks, and that somehow impacts the production timeline or the filming timeline on the project, and then all of those things then incur costs, right? Of having to like wait, have, the film crew on standby for when this person's available. So they're like, yo, you've got to pick, you want to go do that shit, you want to fuck with this shit. But I think the point you're getting to, if I'm correct, is that like she chose Matrix 4 over Shang-Chi. And in an article I was reading, this is an article on like NME.com. I don't know what the fuck website this is, but it's she chose Matrix 4 because she was like, I wanted to take on a role that wouldn't in any way further or create more Asian stereotypes. Which is like, her character in the Matrix 4 isn't necessarily about like, oh, like I am Asian. I don't think
that had like any bearing in it. What I
No, I mean that was a direct quote from.
Was it her?
Yeah, she said in this interview, she said, I don't want to create any more Asian stereotypes.
Jesus
which
Christ.
is part of the reason why she went with Matrix 4.
What article is that from?
So this is on like NME.com. It was like I think she did an interview here.
Said that? By doing Shang-Chi, she'd be creating Asian stereotypes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Well, so she said like she doesn't want to necessarily be a part of it, right? Whereas like she felt like sometimes when you have these like,
I mean,
when you get typecast, right?
Yeah, I get sort of what she's saying from that standpoint, but
it's kind of what Awkwafina is dealing with too, right?
I don't think that's what Awkwafina is. She's got Nora from Queens. She's done a ton of things. So, and honestly, to mention like,
what Awkwafina is dealing with is like what is it called? Like black. It's like where it's kind of what Iggy Azalea did. We had a whole discussion about that. It's like where you are a person from and of a certain place, but you like take on this character and this voice that is not reflective of like who you are and where you came from. So Aquafina gets accused of that, where it's like, you know, all of a sudden she's trying to sound like this black girl from Cali, but you're like, you know, and I don't know her ethnicity exactly, but it's like, that's not who you are, where you're from. Same thing where Iggy Azalea got caught up in.
Yeah, but I guess, yeah, I don't know. And that whole conversation, I feel like kind of stupid. But I think the main thing that I'm trying to get to here is so Jessica Henwick, like I can see where she's kind of coming from there, but also it's like just because a movie has predominantly Asian characters and it has to do with Asian culture or is steeped in Asian culture, like that doesn't then mean that you're then going to be only typecast to those type of films. It could mean that, but I don't think doing Shang-Chi means that that's what. Like it, especially being like a Marvel movie, I don't know. Like that's a tough sell to me, and I don't know. I would love to live in a world where I don't know. I guess people have to make their own business decisions, but that's just I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the tone was like it's a Marvel movie, yes, right, but it is very much rooted in like Asian culture, right? And you know, like their martial arts, and there's always like
the fucking Matrix.
Yeah, well, like that's martial arts, but it's not necessarily rooted in like, oh, this is like Asian, you know, karate or you know whatever the Asian martial arts are, and like there are no like mythical dragons, and there are no like, you know, there's no like kung fu. Well, there's kung fu in Matrix 4, but you get what I'm saying. Like it is not deeply, Matrix isn't deeply rooted in like, hey, we're telling a bit of like Asian culture through this movie as well, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Shang-Chi is.
That's fair. So the quote that I'm seeing is a little different, or at least, the idea is a little different in that. I think The Matrix 4 just seemed like a project that was different in terms of just like the story it was trying to, like when I watched Shang-Chi, like that's a pretty basic story. Like it's not really that complicated. It's not that hard to figure out. But The Matrix 4 is like, this is something truly like different, right? And I don't think that that's necessarily, I don't think, at least as far as I see it, I don't think that has really anything to do with Asian culture. I think if you would have picked her in any Marvel project, I feel like The Matrix 4 is probably going to be a little bit more unique, or a lot more unique than whatever that Marvel film was going to be.
Yeah,
there is no comparison between what they're trying to do with The Matrix 4 and literally anything that they're doing with Marvel. So, but anyways, I mean, she's got her reasons. So who am I to say? But it's kind of fucked up that both studios are like, nah, you gotta fucking choose, right? Because there's like, you know, there's a world where the two could have coexisted. I'm guessing if it was true that they were shooting at the same time, then maybe. But perhaps, and one of the other things is perhaps she was looking at it from like what's beneficial for the future, right? Like, so with Marvel, sure, you could potentially have like another 10 films that you're a part of. With The Matrix, it's either a case there where it's definitely going to be the one-off project, or or maybe she's also looking at it like, oh, well, this might open the door if they start doing more Matrix films, just like you're saying, whether they have Keanu Reeves or not. This Matrix 4 could open.
Yeah, and also I think a big part of it is like timing too, right? Like I'm sure she very much, like, who wouldn't love to do a Marvel project, right? Maybe the timing on this one wasn't right, but it's like, you know, I'd love to like have a conversation down the road about like future projects. And you know, the studio might be like, we want someone in this role who's like committed to this role, like you're working on this project is your main baby, and that's it. So I don't see anything wrong with either side. I think she made the right decision for her career and her personal preferences, and I think the studio is right to want to bring someone on board who is like committed and available for their schedule. Especially, you know, unless it's like some of the bigger name actors, like you're not really going to tell like Leonardo DiCaprio that you got to work on their schedule unless you're like Scorsese or something like that. But in this case, they may be like, hey, we need you to be ready and available and dedicated to this project.
Yeah. Anyways, another thing that just came up is Alec Baldwin is going to be doing a special with, I believe, ABC on everything that happened on the set of Rust, and the shooting that took place. I don't know, dude. I feel like we live in a very fucking weird time, dude, where reality and fiction has never been more blurred than it is right now. And what I mean by that, and I think I might have talked about this last week when Addie was here, but basically you have people, like, you have movies and arts and all that shit's always existed, right, in one form or fashion, right, to some degree, that are basically mimicking life, right? Like, we use that art, we use movies to mimic life. But what's happened over the last like 15, 20 years is, well, now you have life imitating art. And it's never been more apparent than right now with the TikToks and fucking YouTube and everybody basically making these things that are so for instance, like I'll go on like Facebook or something like that, right? And there'll be these videos of like somebody doing something and being like, this person finds out something, or they get surprised. Well, I'm like, first of all, how the fuck did they get the lighting correct here? Why is there a camera that they're apparently not seeing that's just literally right there in the middle of all the fucking action?
Yeah.
Like, there's just no way this thing is real, right? Like, this is not like a real thing. You're just, it's like a script thing, but it's presented as if it's just like somebody finding something out or being scared or something.
And it's that bullshit. Like fucking TikTok voice telling my dad I'm going to marry a pineapple. Like, and there's the camera's already perfectly placed, and the dad is like, I love you anyway.
And it's on a phone too.
This shit is all staged.
Yeah, and so this is like the weird fucking commingling of just like life trying to imitate art and art imitating life. So when I saw this, and I think I still might pull it up real quick. If you
what, you pull that up, and I'm gonna pour this up.
Yeah.
Let's multitask here.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, listen, I can do that. We're pouring some Bullet whiskey here into Glenlivet glasses. Mutual respect between the two brands, so it's all good. We're not crossing any lines here. I told myself, I'm like, during the month of December, I'm not going to drink any alcohol.
Why are you?
Why? Broke that rule earlier. So it's all good. We're just going to keep this thing going.
All right, here we go. So we're going to watch this real quick, and then I'm going to talk about it. Pop that back up. So yeah, let's watch this. I don't even know what the fuck to call it.
She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired. I mean, even now, I find it hard to believe that. It just doesn't seem real to me.
You haven't said much in public since that tragic accident. Why speak out now? I think the big question, and the one you must have asked yourself 1,000 times, how could this have happened? You've described it as a 1 in a trillion shot, and the gun was in your hand. How do you come to terms with that? It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them, never.
What did you think happened? How did a real bullet get on that set?
I have no idea. Someone put a live bullet in a gun, a bullet that wasn't even supposed to be on the property.
How do you respond to actors like George Clooney who say that every time they were handed a gun, they checked it themselves? Your emotions are so clearly so right there on the surface. You felt shock, you felt anger, you felt sadness. Do you feel guilt? You said you're not a victim, but is this the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
Yes. Yeah. Because I think back, and I think of what could I have done.
Alec Baldwin, Unscripted, the newsmaking special event. Tomorrow night at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Yeah. So I saw that. So I saw that, and the thought that kind of kept going through my head was those last words that the did the voiceover, said a news making special event.
News making
special
event.
And what it did for me was it made me like wonder, like, the fuck are we doing here? Like, and the way that they set that whole thing up was just like dramatic, and it's a trailer. It's like, is any of this real? Like, is it like, what the fuck? This isn't a fucking movie, dude. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, did somebody literally fucking died? Like, a real person. And I realize we've had other things that we've, like, they've talked to other people who either might have killed somebody. Like, OJ had a whole fucking special about if he did it, this is how he would have done it, right? We have stuff like this before, but I don't know why this particular one was just like,
this one rubbed you the wrong way a little bit.
Why is this necessary? Like, what the fuck?
So, I mean, none of it's necessary. That's like, you know, that's the answer to that question right there, right? What it is profitable, and it is likely to set like ratings records, right? Like, oh, this is the most watched hour-long interview special, unscripted hour-long. They'll find some type of stat to like stack this against, right? For the network, I'm sure there are producers behind this who don't give a fuck about what actually happened, that someone actually died, but they're like, we need the primetime spot. We want to make sure that we like do this thing, pull it off perfectly. The production has to be flawless. Ratings have to be through the roof. We're going to have this special. They may even have like, you know, 1 or 2 follow-up specials after this thing, right? Yeah. And their concern is like ratings. What are the biggest sponsors we can get to be? You got to look at who the sponsors are going to be during like the TV commercial spots. Like, we want Apple,
Pepsi,
we want
Coke.
Pepsi, Ford, like the biggest brands, and we want them to buy spots during this TV segment because that's what's going to drive revenue, right? So there's the family of the person who's lost their lives who has to watch this bullshit. There's the woman who died, Helena Hutchins. Yes, and then there's like the network and the media people who just want to like we want to tell the story, and you know, we don't really care about who it hurts. We just want to tell the story, and we're gonna paint our narrative on it. I hate stuff like this because the only people he should really be speaking to privately are the crew who was there, you know, all the people who may be dealing with like trauma from the event, right? Yeah. The family of the victim.
Apparently he did, or apparently he already spoke to them.
Yeah, I'm sure he did, because like when I look at this thing, I could be wrong about Alec Baldwin, but I look at this thing and it really does genuinely feel like, from what I've seen and what I've heard, it really does feel like this was a mistake that, and sure, there's maybe blame to put maybe he should have checked the gun, but like also like you expect that the gun has been checked several times before it's even handed to you, and you're just here to act and do a job. You're trying to stay in character, blah blah blah. But yes, maybe he should have checked the gun. I don't know, but this just feels distasteful.
Yeah, it feels distasteful, and I'm yet to sort of pinpoint the reason why it feels so distasteful to me. Like, because again, this isn't the first time something like this has ever been done. It's not the first time we're ever seeing some sort of, after some crazy event actually happens in life, for then there to be some sort of ABC special about the thing, and then there's a whole fucking, let me sit down and talk about it, and all this other bullshit. But for this one, it just, I don't know, it felt not necessarily wrong, but maybe, or maybe I've changed, right? In that, how I'm starting to process things, I want to get to a place where things matter, you know, in terms of, if somebody dies, like, that should mean something. It shouldn't just be like, well, that happened, and then just keep it pushing. It should be like, that should affect you, you know? And I feel like I'm personally getting to a point where, just like we were talking about earlier, where we were talking about the school shooting. School shooting, and it's just like, you just keep scrolling. You're like,
yeah.
And I understand that. We're human, and we can't absorb everything, otherwise we'd fucking go crazy. But at the same time, like, watching this made me feel gross about myself. Of like, am I going to sit down and fucking watch this on ABC and talk about how Alec Baldwin's recounting of how he, you know, was a part of this woman dying, and be like, oh man, I'm going to eat some popcorn while we fucking watch? Like, no, this seems, ugh.
Yeah, man. Listen, if I ever get shot on a movie scene by like, or during filming a movie, and it's like Flex Washington shot and killed me or something like that, you remember him? Yeah. And then they do a BET interview special, and it's like Nene Leakes is interviewing him. I'm coming back. I'm haunting everybody. Like, I don't care if I'm at Heaven's Gates and I'm like, and they're like, yo, you can come in now and just, enter into the land of Jesus and in heaven or whatever, and live peacefully and leave Earth's woes behind. Well, I'm thinking, or you can go back to Earth. I'm like, I'm like John Wick. I'm coming back, man. I knew what fine. I'm fine with my soul roaming the earth endlessly for hours, as long as I get these motherfuckers that are going to do this ABC special. Don't tarnish my name like that.
So I saw this and I was just like, I don't know, man. It just
imagine how the family feels. It's like,
well, I'm imagining that he probably didn't do this without one would hope. One would hope that he did this he did this by consulting a lot of people. Like, not just the family.
I would hope so.
But like everybody who is there, everybody who might have been affected by it, and obviously they're probably still trying to work out some legal shit, which is probably a little bit of why he's doing this, to kind of clear the air about some shit and put some things out there in the public.
But you also know he has like a PR company representing him who is probably very influential in everything he does and says and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you got to, like, imagine how many people are around him saying, oh my God, you got to do this. Like, write a book, do an interview. Like, but if we do an interview, it's got to be the biggest interview. It's got to be a prime time interview. It's got to be like,
yeah, because this is different, man. This isn't like he just jumped on fucking YouTube or some shit and like, hey, I just want to clear the air.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what's going on.
He's like, he probably wanted to put out like a statement or something like that. And they're like, no.
I think he did put out a statement, and he's been fairly active on.
Yeah, I saw he did an impromptu like interview roadside. There was like some camera people outside of his house, and he just went out and spoke to them like, guys, like, it was a terrible thing that happened. Like, there was nobody with. I think there was like somebody with him, but it like wasn't his like PR. I think it was like maybe his wife or daughter or wife or something like that. Yeah. But like he seemed to like
confuse those two.
Yeah, true. He seemed to like be speaking from the heart, like, everything. It was a tragedy what happened. I'm heartbroken for my, for the family, like, blah, blah, blah. It just seems like I feel like there are a lot of people behind this thing doing it for the wrong reasons, which is like ratings and revenue.
Well, yeah. And I guess that's how much you can talk about like anything, right? Like literally anything that the news report, so quote unquote news reports on, that's the exact idea, right? They're profiting off of pain essentially, And I guess we all do to some degree, right? Like we're on the podcast talking about shit, not necessarily. I think we talk about shit just because we find it interesting and just want to talk about it. But I think that there's still an element of, oh man, the clicks and the likes and the who's subscribing and yada yada, and it's just like, man, fuck. What are we? It seems like we're just going to get further and further away from things that like it's actually perfect that we talked about the Matrix so much, because. So in at least in part, what the Matrix is based on, I believe, is if I'm remembering the name correct, is a book called Simulation and Simulacra, I believe that, and I might be getting that either mixed up or not right at all. But basically, it talked about how we're not like living, as we're living, we're basically living through like simulation in the sense that. We're not experiencing the actual thing. We're experiencing the simulation of the thing. Like, I guess one example that gets thrown out there is like Disneyland, right? People go to Disneyland or World or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and they're not like that's not fucking Mickey Mouse that you're meeting. That's a fucking dude stuffed in a fucking Mickey Mouse suit, right? You go there and you're like happy and like it makes you remember all these things. It's like, but that's not, none of that shit's real. Like that's just all fucking fantasy and shit. That's not an actual thing.
I don't know. I feel like if you're the type of person to dissect Disneyland in that kind of way, you're
but like this isn't about
that's
Disneyland.
Kind of sad. You know what I mean? Because
I'm saying like this isn't about Disneyland.
But I get what you're saying.
It's about the idea that we're not experiencing like a lot of the experiences that we have are just like simulations of things. They're not the actual fucking thing. And I don't think that's ever been truer than right now, where we experiencing like joy, humor, all this other stuff, what all we're doing is looking down at our phones and fucking watching a screen. We're not actually interacting with people, as in like having this conversation as we're having right now.
Yeah,
we're just interacting with a device. It's a simulation of experiences, you know.
Have you ever seen the movie Reminiscence?
No.
It's a movie. It came out recently. It came out 2021 with Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson from Dune. I mean, stellar cast, right? And the movie, like in the movie, people are essentially like, they go to like a memory bank, they deposit like their memories or they extract memories, and then they can go back and relive those memories, right? It's like just being able to go to kind of like going to get a massage, but it's a massage for like your brain and your memories, right? So you can relive your favorite moment. And some people are saying like, you know, some people view that as a terrible thing, like the past is the past, like move forward, make new memories. Some people would say like, why not be able to relive your favorite memories of like a loved one who died, or like playing with your dog who died, or, you know, the best time of your life. But it is a simulation nonetheless. My view on it is I don't give a fuck whether it's a simulation or if it's in real life, as long as you're happy. That's all that matters.
I mean,
because
but that's like the idea of like the Matrix, right? Like, it's like, well, are you actually happy, or is like, because that brings into the question like, what is actual happiness, right? So there's some people who spend all day on social media and say that they're depressed as fuck, right? And there's others who would say that, oh no, I'm perfectly happy, I'm living a perfectly meaningful and fulfilled life, but then like it's kind of like, well, what is your interpretation of happiness? Like because people say things, but sometimes that's not tied to like an actual reality. Some people are like, oh, I'm great. And then like they just, all the things that they say and do lead you to believe that they're depressed as fuck.
Yeah.
But I think that that's essentially like kind of like what the Matrix was talking about, which is like, well, if you live in this world that is basically just a simulation and you're living a life within that world, well, is that acceptable, or do you actually want reality? You know, like it isn't just having a feeling, because if it is, right, like why is it that we don't always do the thing that does make us happy?
Yeah.
Like all
now,
the fucking
I
time?
think for me, I think the difference is if, for example, let's, you know, wasn't Ready Player One kind of somewhat on this, or was that just an animated movie? Because I think you had to like.
Did you watch Ready Player One?
Yeah, great movie by the way. Hot take. I thought.
Well,
we'll get into
talk
that.
about that later.
But so like I think like if you're living in a simulation, right? Like let's say you go to a place and you like you put the headset on, you log on, and you like live in this virtual world where you have your virtual girlfriend, you get a virtual pussy and all that, right? Like if like if you're like living in that world but you're actually living for that thing, I think that we can question whether or not you're truly happy. But if you found happiness in an experience, I think that's a little bit different.
What my point is that why is that a false experience compared to sort of like the life that we're all kind of like living right now with social media and all this other shit? Like what makes that fake, but what we're doing as real?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think one is additive, like it adds to I'm already happy and that thing makes me happier.
No, I don't think everybody like starts like happy and then it just slowly degrades from there. I think happiness is just like any other emotion that it comes and it goes.
So for example, like, and I wish you saw the movie Reminiscence, because it's like it perfectly ties into what we're talking about, where it's like, you know, I'm a happy person. I've moved forward with my life and I'm living in today and now. But you know what? I had a dog 10 years ago. Loved that dog. Missed that dog. What if I go to a place where I can play with my dog again and it feels like he's still here and still real? Like, I feel like that is like additive, right? It adds to my happiness, being able to go back and relive that thing. But I don't live for that thing.
That's true. But I'm talking about it in an overall sense, like meaning that like, I don't think we're all born with like the idea that we're all happy and we're this, and then things just slowly degrade that over the course of time. I think that happiness is just like literally any other emotion, where sometimes you feel it and then sometimes you don't. Right? Sometimes
it is
you feel
the
angry
pursuit
and sometimes you don't.
Of happiness. It's even where does that come from?
The pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, isn't that like the Constitution or something like that? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of is like the what is it? Is the Constitution, the amendments?
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I should fucking know this.
Isn't that like the First Amendment or something like that? The right to like life, liberty. Listen, I was watching Michael Che's stand up special on Netflix the other day. Great stand up. You got to fucking watch it. And he was telling a story about like, you know, to black people, like, I'm American, but I don't really feel American.
It's a part of the Declaration
of Independence. It's like even that shit, right? Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Like, what's that written for us? You know what I mean? And like, so he was telling this joke. He was like, this is how un-American black people feel. It's like when we drive through a neighborhood in like a predominantly white area and you see all these like American flags outside of the house, that's your sign to get the fuck out of there. Right? Like, it's like, that's how American we feel, which is super interesting. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it is the pursuit of happiness. I think that is what you're, I don't think no one's happy all the time, but like, I think the people who are happy constantly pursue it as best as they can.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is a good conversation. We can keep it here for a second. I know we're probably going to be over pressed for time. We'll cut something else, but I think that I don't hot take. I don't think the pursuit should be of happiness. I think the pursuit should be of understanding oneself. And I think the difference between that is that happiness is an emotion. That's something that you feel and can come and go. And perhaps, you know, perhaps you'd want to feel more happy than not, right? But I think that, at least in myself, what I find more grounding is understanding why I'm the way that I am and understanding what works and what doesn't work for me. And I don't think that what works or doesn't work is simply steeped in happiness, but because there's a lot of things that I do that that doesn't necessarily make me happy, but perhaps is a means to some end, right? That one could argue might be happiness in and of itself, but as you're on the journey, at least as I'm on the journey, like I'm not really concerned with just being happy so much as fulfillment.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that those often become synonymous, but I don't think that they are. I think that they can be two different things.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, there's no right or wrong answer, right?
Yeah.
Some people, to your point, some people pursue like an understanding of oneself, which is, I don't see many ways you can go wrong with that unless you lean too much into one thing. Like, you know, like you're like, oh, you know what? I like alcohol. And then you're like, I'm going to lean into this thing. And then you can go.
But even alcohol,
too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
I feel like that just like everything, and we talked about it before, you know, the podcast, but that's like balance, right? Like everything has to be in proportion. Like, so for instance, we've had numerous funny conversations about edibles of recent, right? Both in group text messages and in person. And it's something that I just like never really did, right? And so now that I'm kind of experimenting, oh, no, that's not for me, or yeah, this is kind of like my cup of tea. And I think that if you just go your whole life without experiencing some things, then it's kind of just like, it's not necessarily did you live or anything like that, but it's just like, I was just too scared to try this thing. But then I did try it, and it just realized that it's not my thing, and backed off of it. But I feel like everything in proportion, right? Like if I just suddenly went to like, no, this is my jam and I'm always going to do it and I'm never going to, then there's like too much, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like you need like a certain proportion. Life really is all about, you know, I don't think we're ever going to appreciate how true Thanos was, what kind of prophetic things he was saying by saying everything must be in balance. Now, he was a homicidal maniac, but I feel like the basic idea of what he was talking about was correct. That we everything needs balance. You know, once things get out of balance, and balance can mean different things to different people. But anyways, we digress. Anyways, the Alec Baldwin shit, I don't know. I just find it kind of, I don't even want to. I don't know if the distasteful is the right word. It just hit me a weird way. Okay, so super quick. Nicolas Cage is in line to play Dracula for the movie Renfield. and Dracula's not even going to be like the main attraction in that particular movie. I think it's going to be about his assistant or some shit. I don't fucking know. But this could go one of two ways. Either it's going to be wildly comical and, you know, based off of Nicolas Cage's like last like 18 movies, one might suspect that that's probably going to be the case, or it could be fucking epic.
Yeah, so I mean,
awesome as fucking Nicolas Cage as Dracula.
I don't know. I mean, I think Nicolas Cage has been on somewhat of a little hot streak, right?
Whoa. Let's redefine.
I hear he did really well. I hear he did really well in like the Tiger King movie, right? Is that out, or is he still filming that?
That's about to either come out.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, it's gonna he was born to play this particular role based off of how eccentric the guy who's the Tiger King is, as well as Nicolas Cage.
Joe Exotic.
Born to play Joe Exotic. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. There's also the movie Pig that came out in 2021, came out earlier this year, which I hear his performance in that was like rave reviews for it. They say it's one of his best film in years.
I'm noticing a lot that you're saying that it's like what Trump does, right? People are saying
no, I mean, like, you can go on IMDb, look at the reviews for it, you can look at the articles. Like this Pig is like, you know, this might be the rebirth of like Nicolas Cage's career. And you know, I love Nicolas Cage. He's got some of my favorite movies. The Rock with Sean Connery that came out in 1996.
Yeah, that's early Nicolas Cage, or early-ish Nicolas Cage.
Gone in 60 Seconds.
That's not late.
Con Air. Face Off.
I'm talking about non-90 shit.
I hear that. What I'm hearing is there's some rumblings that Nicolas Cage is back. And if that guy is back, then that guy as Dracula might be the perfect recipe.
Yeah.
Knowing Nicolas Cage, he might actually drink real blood just to get into character for this role.
That crazy son of a bitch just might. So that's that. Also, we got word this past week about why Game of Thrones, the spinoff, because remember, they were going to do a spinoff of Game of Thrones, basically as Game of Thrones was ending. They were going to do a spinoff about the Long Night, basically the first Long Night that happened. Mm-hmm. And they promptly didn't do that. And we're now getting a little bit details on why. I think there's like a book or something like that that's come out that basically is detailing some of the details of I think the book is called Tinderbox. Violet Green said in the new HBO book, Tinderbox. Yeah, which kind of talks about like some of the behind the scenes stuff. Basically, the pilot cost about $30 million to make, and after they watched said pilot, they were like,
"Not that interesting."
Yo, you know when you're watching something that somebody told you to watch, and you're like watching it with them, and you're just like you're trying, or you're watching it with somebody else, and you both look at each other like, how do we break it to them?
Yeah, that literally happened to me the other day. My girlfriend got pissed.
Yeah,
she showed me this stupid fucking video online, on like Instagram or TikTok or something like that, and I'm just like. And I was watching it and slowly like handing the phone back to her as I was watching it. Like, yo, this is stupid. And then she was like, no.
Why do you have to call it stupid?
You know, I'm very blunt. And it was a 2-part video. So like I started to hand the phone back to her as I was watching the first one because it was that stupid. And then she was like, no. Watch the second one. So I like, swiped down or up or whatever. And then the second video was even dumber, so I probably shouldn't have did this, but I was watching it and then I just kind of like threw the phone back over to her. She was not happy. She was like,
nobody would be happy with that.
She was like, you always think things that I like are stupid, and I'm like, no, not always, but like this is, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a delivery, dude. You gotta find a better way to communicate.
That didn't go over well.
You are not a great communicator.
I'm a great communicator.
You're
sometimes just too honest.
No, come on. There's a difference. Honesty is one thing.
There was also something else on. I think I was watching I was watching the game or something like that. I'm like, come on, my priorities.
Like the game?
Red Zone. Okay, I'm pretty sure Red Zone was on.
Okay,
so it was like, listen, I'm a great. Listen, I'm going to be decisive in this moment, right? This is not good.
Yeah.
This is.
Well, it wasn't that good for you on Sunday.
We gotta. Listen, you guys haven't won a Super Bowl in 20 years. It's not going to be this
neither
year.
have you. Actually, it's even a decade more.
Listen, we got the Jags this Sunday.
Oh shit. But yeah, you are honest, which is typically a very admirable trait. But I'm talking about communication skills here. When it comes to communicating, you are very poor at communicating.
I've got great communication skills. That's what I've always been told by everybody.
Why was she so upset with you that
Because
your communication skills were so great? Because there's
not
a world
all
where
things.
there's a world where you could tell her the thing that you wanted to tell her without her ending up.
Sure.
Like that.
But here's the thing.
And how long was the video? It was like 30 seconds. It's probably 30 seconds.
I think it was like 58 seconds. You know, like the Instagram
You
time.
couldn't last? 58
Yeah,
seconds?
I mean, it was bad, and then the game was on. You know, no, it's like, for example, sometimes you can be a great communicator. You can be very honest and upfront. You communicate things how they should be communicated, and the person still doesn't receive your communication well.
Yeah,
Like, for example,
you threw her phone at her. I don't.
sure, but like, let's say
that counts as having great communication skills.
Yeah, so let's say I'm arresting you, right? And I say you're under arrest.
Yeah.
I'm communicating very well here. You just don't like what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I read you.
In your humble
you have the
opinion-
right to an attorney.
In your humble opinion,
you're gonna
do
be
you
like,
think that's
"Fuck
what
you."
happened? No,
I
that is
should
not
have
what
arrested
happened.
her for how stupid this video was.
But essentially, that's what happened with this Game of Thrones prequel. Is that they spent 30 M's on it, and then they watched it, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't know if we could move on with this. This is
The money that is
not
wasted
great."
in the world. Imagine how many times this happens. A pilot is filmed for a TV show or a movie. Movies that get filmed that never see the light of day, right? Albums that get recorded and it costs $20 million to make the album and no one ever hears it. The money that is spent and wasted on things that never even see the light of day, it's insane. $30 million on a pilot and it's not going to happen.
Well, that's because to the people we're talking, it's fucking HBO. Like, what? A $1 billion company doing $1 billion things. Like,
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to experiment with something before you really know what the fuck you got. Like, and for me, yeah, if somebody throws me 30 million, I'm not missing. Okay, I'm not missing on the thing. Whatever the fuck you task me with for 30 M's. There is no such thing as miss. There is no such thing as, oh, I didn't like it or it didn't meet my taste. It is impossible, right?
I don't know, man. Listen, for 30 M's, if I miss, you know what I'm not going to miss? When the new Bentley truck come out. That's what I'm not missing. I'm 30 up. Let's go. I don't got to do nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't think I can miss for that. But yeah, dude. Anyways, so they said they didn't like it. They didn't move forward with it. So we're now getting that. And what's even worse is that then the House of Dragon sequel got greenlit. And so we're going to be seeing that soon. So this thing must have been really bad if they were like, we're just not going to do that one. We're definitely going to do Game of Thrones, just not that. That has to be, oh man.
The bragging rights they get over at House of Dragons, because I feel like they were doing it on. I'm just imagining they were doing it on the same lot, and one group was on lot A, they're over in lot B.
They're wearing the shirts like,
and the House of Dragons people were like, "How's it going over there?" "Oh, we didn't get picked up." It's like, sad for you. Fuck off. Your parking spot's mine now.
Yo, they were talking endless shit.
Oh my God.
Like through the group text messages to each other, sliding each other. Like, bitch, that's why you drive a Buick. Like,
You're not gonna get the new Bentley truck. I don't think you can afford that now. Talking to their wives like, are you sure? Are you sure you love him? I mean, his show didn't get greenlit. Yeah, I would have loved.
Tough life.
I hope it is that way. Like you're filming one show on one. Oh my God. Could you imagine if you're filming a show on like Universal Studios lot and then like you hate the actor on the other show and then your show gets renewed for another season and theirs gets canceled? Ooh, I'm sliding on set and I'm going to be the most annoying loud person. Like, oh guys, I'm so sorry. Everyone get your shit. You got to turn in your badge. You got to get off the lot.
Yeah.
It's like the dudes from Supernatural. One of them got like, Didn't one of them get invited to being like the spinoff or something like that?
Well, actually, one of them is basically making his own show about Supernatural, but I guess he's making it with some of the former people.
Basically, one guy didn't get invited, right?
Yeah, but he's got so Jared Padalecki, he's doing the Walker Texas Ranger thing. So like, long story short, he's all right. And also too, fucking Supernatural lasted for 15 seasons. Look, if I'm not invited to that party, oh fucking well, I'll be all right. Okay, I'll be
15
okay.
15 seasons is way too long for anything.
15 seasons, and I gotta walk back into another show with these same fucking stupid faces I've been staring at for 15 seasons. Fuck everything about that.
Yeah,
I don't care how good it was. And Supernatural by the end, and this is just my own humble opinion. Just my humble. It was just unwatchable to me.
I'm not gonna fucking watch that show. I
seasons
watched
1 through 5.
Yeah,
one of the greatest series I've ever seen.
I watched like 2 or 3 episodes of I don't know what the fuck season, like with an ex-girlfriend, and I'm just like, let's turn this shit off and fuck. I gotta leave.
Yo, you are a hard person. One day we're gonna sit down and talk about what the fuck is it like, or I just want to talk to your girlfriend about what is it like to be in a relationship with you, because you're an asshole.
It's honest and fun and whimsical.
Honest and fun and whimsical.
Listen, I'm a great guy. Listen, when I shit, I light a candle. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's good.
That's about all I do.
Yeah, you sound like you had more to that, and then just ran out. I was like,
I pay the bills on time.
Oh man. Okay. Anyways, so our next story. So, dude, we're gonna have to talk Bond here for a second. And we don't have to spend that much time on this. I don't have that many thoughts on this, but I do have a couple. No Time to Die. James Bond, Daniel Craig's last turn as Bond. What are your quick thoughts on No Time to Die after you've had a chance to view it?
This to me was I'm going to compare it to something. It is not a direct comparison. It is a sentimental comparison, right? Logan. I brought this up earlier. Yeah. Logan was like, what a way to tell the final story of like this particular actor in this particular role playing this particular character, right? What a way to tell a story and to have it be complete. It felt good. It looked good. It left no stone unturned. You gave me everything that I wanted and a little bit more. Yeah. That is what I got in this Bond No Time to Die. Everyone showed up and did their fucking job. Yeah. I can't think of anyone in this movie who didn't do their job. Jeffrey Wright, who plays Felix Slider. He and his relationship with James Bond, Daniel Craig, like it's so nice to watch. Like from Casino Royale to Quantum of Solace, like all the way through. I feel like he's had a small role in each of these movies, right? Yeah. He may have been gone in like Spectre and blah blah blah, but he's with the CIA. He always kind of comes in Skyfall. Yeah. What a great like relationship, and the reason why throughout the course of this movie made sense to me. Like, everything he does and the reason why he does it made sense. Naomi Harris was great. Naomi Harris, small role.
They dialed back Moneypenny in this.
Yeah, small role, but I thought she was great. She did her job so well that like, not that you didn't really notice that she was there, but like she very clearly transitioned from like her role in the last film to this role, and it was like seamless. It's like, okay, I get why after shooting Bond in the last film.
Well, that was so we had Spectre there in between. So in Skyfall,
was in Skyfalls when she shot him. Yeah, Spectre.
Spectre. I was trying to watch Spectre the other day, and it's like the only Bond movie right now that you have to fucking like rent. And I'm like, what? It came out like 5 years ago. Just fucking put the shit out. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely did not rent it because honestly, it wasn't that great. But
yeah. Ana de Armas.
Yeah, dude, she's in a movie all of 20 seconds. Why she's on all the promotional shit for it, it's
fucking gorgeous.
She pretty, no doubt, but she literally is in like her whole entire thing is like 5 minutes.
You know why she was so, and like as far as I understand, she didn't like audition for this movie. Daniel Craig handpicked her to play this character.
What? Why?
Because they were in what is that movie he did with
Knives Out. Oh shit,
Knives Out.
True. And she murked it in Knives Out.
So,
they both murked it in Knives Out.
So after filming Knives Out with her, he was like, she has to play this character.
You can tell that they just wrote that character in, because she just comes out of nowhere. And at first I thought, oh, is this gonna be like some sort of weird double agent where she ends up fucking stabbing Bond or some shit? And it was like, no double agent shit. What the fuck was she here for?
Yeah. So I feel like her character was just like a very like lighthearted. You could tell like she's a rookie, right? She's a new agent. And like I feel like,
yo, what a put on by your home team.
Yeah.
Yo, come be in this Bond movie real quick.
Yeah, especially like one of the biggest ones, right?
Yeah.
And now, granted, she's already like a well-known actress.
She was a great actress in. She was in Blade Runner 2049. I fucking loved her in that movie. I thought she was great.
Yeah. So she was in. There was a movie. She did a movie with Keanu Reeves recently. I forget what it's called, but it's like. It's her and another girl. They like break into his house.
Yeah. I haven't watched that movie, but I
thought she was like light and fun. And in this movie, she showed up. She was light. She was like a young new agent who's like, "This is my first big job. I'm so excited. You're a legend. This is awesome. Let's do spy shit." When the action goes down, she was on point with her shit.
Yeah,
she was running and gunning, is just like Bond was, and you could tell even in, like his character in the role was kind of like shocked, like. This rookie and you're this good at your job, great. And then at the end, when they're like, "Oh, this is where we go our separate ways. It was so great to meet you," and it was kind of like this, like any old job, right? We're just working together at any old job, and so she was lighthearted. It was a fun, really dope interaction. Rami Malek was great. Daniel Craig, he showed up in the way that I expected him to show up, but even better and even bigger. There's nothing about this movie that I didn't like. And what a way to complete this story.
Yeah. Look, I'll keep it brief. I just loved everything about it, man. I think, as far as like a movie on its own, I think it was a pretty decent movie. If I were to take this without taking into context anything else, I'd be like, yeah, it was a cool Bond movie. Probably not my favorite Bond movie, but when you put it in totality of Daniel Craig's run as Bond, you're like, oh, that's fucking dope send off, dude. Like that's really dope. How they're able to do that, and they didn't complicate it either. It wasn't like let's make this like super complicated and tell this like it's like you barely even know what the fuck the villain is, like what his like ambitions. You don't really care. You're like, I'm just here for Bond. Just see Bond do some dope shit, and to tell me a story that's a little like a good end to Daniel Craig's run as Bond, and they delivered on that, right?
Yeah.
All those things that we like, it starts off on a completely different note than than we've ever seen a Bond.
Starts
start
off
on.
just a love story, like this. They're just
or
in Buenos Aires.
It starts off from the perspective of somebody else who's not Bond, which is not how we start Bond movies, typically speaking. Usually it's just Bond doing some ski shit, blowing some shit up and then dipping out, is usually how we start off a Bond movie. But so this started off really dope. One of my favorite scenes in it, well, there's a lot of different favorite scenes, but one of the ones that's like running through my mind right now is one where he kills the guy with the truck or the car or whatever, where he just like fucking smashes the dude with the car. That was fucking epic. And then the other was when you get to the end and oh, this is the end. And he's just like, they're playing the music and he's shooting everybody there at the end. And you just, oh man, like it's just like you feel it, like, oh, this is we're coming up on it. We're about to put the old guy down, And it was just really well fucking done. I can't stress enough how much I enjoyed it. I had a fun time watching this. I kind of wish I watched it in theaters. I didn't watch it. I watched it in when it came on demand, or pay-per-view or paid on demand, PVOD. And I'm kind of wishing that I saw it in theaters. But it was a really good movie. Really nice way to send off Daniel Craig. And to be perfectly honest, this is how they've created kind of the formula for how they should progress. Now, I think whatever iteration of Bond we do next, let's just turn this shit on its head. I'm not even talking about whether Bond's black, woman, whatever the fucking case is. Let's actually tell me the perspective of somebody who's not Bond. Maybe as Bond is going on fucking his world escapades,
someone who works with Bond,
you're telling it from the perspective of the people that Bond's missions are affecting. You know, when he blows some shit up.
Or maybe the next Bond is not that great at his job, and like he's more messy and not as clean cut as the other Bonds. That's
what we got with Daniel Craig's Bond. Somebody who's, I mean, he's
so
great,
Daniel Craig's Bond
messy.
wasn't suave, and he wasn't like the super.
You don't think he was suave?
No, so like he wasn't suave as in he can like get in and get out and move seamlessly through the crowd and not fuck anything up. Daniel Craig's Bond was
Who
like
was the Bond that could do that?
Like Pierce Brosnan.
Nah.
What? No, Pierce Brosnan was so smooth.
All he did was just wear good suits.
He was smooth. This Bond was like, you know, Pierce Brosnan would have snuck in undetected. This Bond is like, I'm going to come in and start shooting, right? And like, you know, Daniel Craig has the intensity to pull it off.
Yeah.
But either way, you know, there's so many moments through this film, like you said, that I loved. I love how they dialed up certain things and you could like see it coming. You know, him and Ana de Armas, their first interaction where they're like, you know, he changes into the suit and they're going through the party, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like moving through, I think they like enter a certain building and they're moving through the courtyard and she's like, all right, let's go this way. He's like, let's have a drink first. And you knew what was coming. You knew they were going to go to the bar. You knew he was going to order the martini. You knew he was going to order it shaken, not stirred. But you fucking loved every second of it. I think there was like a gunfight, and after the gunfight, he like enters the hallway and he does the classic Bond spin and point the gun.
Oh, that was, I thought that was towards the end of the movie where he
closer to the end than the beginning. So but like that classic spin and point the gun and that long range shot.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. Well, in that moment, like I didn't know when it was gonna happen, but I knew it was like gonna come at a certain point. Fucking loved it either way.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the perfect send off.
Yeah, what do you think, just super quick, about his daughter? Spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't fucking show, whatever.
You know, I just thought I love this sentimental moment, right? You know, when he's like watching her sleep, and then he's like,
it was just enough of everything,
yeah.
Right? It wasn't like we had like half the movies between him and her having like all these interactions, but it's just like we get like 5 to 10 minutes of them interacting,
yeah.
And he cooks her. He doesn't know if it's any good. He's like, "Do you like it?"
Yeah,
yeah. It was just, I don't know.
It's nice.
Dope.
It was very, it was tasteful. That's all I can say about this movie, right?
Yeah.
And then I loved how like throughout the course of this movie, he got more and more reasons. Right? You killed my best friend. You blew up the grave of the woman that I loved.
Yeah.
Right? You tore me away from the woman that I loved when like he put her on the train because he thought that she
was the one who
betrayed him. Right? Yeah. And then when he finds out you didn't betray me, you know, my daughter and this little girl. And then, you know, Rami Malek's character was trying to hurt her, right? It's like, oh, you gave me one more reason. So it's like through the movie, they give you all the reasons why he's doing what he's doing. And then at the end of the movie, you get told a complete story.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, because we got some shit that we got to do. Look, so we're getting a revival, so to speak, of Sex and the City, man. Although it's very confusing what the fuck the title is for this, and Just Like That is essentially the title for this project, but it's a Sex and the City product. Like, why
is
not?
Is it a movie? Is it a show?
It's a series. Yeah,
it's a series.
I guess a limited series
with the same cast.
I think 10 episodes. Yes, everybody except for what's her name? Kim Cantrell.
Yeah, Kim Cantrell. Yeah, Cantrell.
Now I don't know what the fuck, because I never watched that Sex and the City. To be honest with you, what was the? Do you know what the beef was?
So apparently, Kim, is it Cantrell or Cantrell? I think it's Kim Cantrell. I think Kim Cantrell. And who's the main star of the show again? What's her name?
Sarah Jessica
Parker. I think her and like during the filming of the show, especially the last few seasons, apparently they like hated each other so much that like they started to like not film any scenes together, right? They wouldn't write them into the same scenes. They wouldn't have dialogue between the two. They hated each other. So when they approached them about doing the feature film and then maybe like reviving the show, there were so many stipulations to like how they would go about filming the show, how they would...
what could be so fucking... Unless somebody fucked like your significant other, like what could be the thing that's just like, we gonna get this bag, but also fuck all our scenes together? Like what is so bad? Like Jesus Christ.
Especially if it's just like, I didn't enjoy working with you. It's like, Brady and Belichick did it for years, and they won Super Bowls. Let's get the money. Let's get these
Although
rings.
we did see how that ended. That did end in a bitter divorce as well.
It did, but at the end of it, I mean, there's a lot that they both gained. I mean, championship rings.
Yeah, it was okay, but to be fair, they did do 7 seasons of the show, whatever. How many amount of seasons that they did,
7 or 8 or something like that.
And then
Yeah.
they did 2 movies on top of that.
But I don't. What was Kim Cattrall in the movies?
I believe so, unless I just have that mistaken.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure she was in at least the last movie that they put out.
Yeah. But apparently they just had trouble working together, and which you'd think at this point they would have squashed the beef or let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, to let it last like fucking decades long.
Because I know the residual checks are looking pretty healthy, right, for Sex and the City, but there's nothing like a new check.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
what's better than your old check?
And they're gonna pay up. Right, especially if she makes a big spat about it, and the studio like, oh, we'll give you 20 million. She's like, no, that's not enough. Fuck you. Slams the door. They're gonna.
But I guess there are some. Anyways, whatever. We're getting into the weeds. We need to watch this because
let's watch this.
So to give you guys a little bit of plot detail. So the series follows how Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte, as they navigate the journey from the complicated reality of life and friendship in their 30s to even more complicated reality of life and friendship in their 50s. Obviously, starring Sarah Jessica Parker, Kristen Davis, newcomer Nicole Ari Parker, and Cynthia Nixon. Shout out to Cynthia Nixon. She's super politically involved, and she's got some pretty dope politics. This is due out December 9th, actually, so next week. This is going to be... No, the week after next is when this will be dropping. So let's go ahead and take this.
No, December 9th is Thursday of next week.
Today's the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
How can that be true? So tomorrow's the
I'm looking at a calendar.
Oh, wait. Okay. That checks out. All right. Let's do it.
The more I live, the more I find that if you have good friends in your corner, anything's possible.
Carrie, party of 3?
The future is unwritten because we're all at different stages of life.
Tonight, bring your A game.
How many dating apps are you on?
I'm just waiting for someone to create a dating site that's called Here's the Man You've Been Searching for, Seema.
This is X, Y, and me. What about you, Carrie? Have you ever masturbated in a public place?
Not since Barney's closed. Oh, honey, I'm home.
Yeah.
I remember when you kept your sweaters in the stove.
They're always
She's a
gonna be
shopaholic.
rosette.
Barney's, New York.
So you can't have it all?
No, you can. It's just really hard.
You're not happy with who you are? Step out of that box and change.
And just like that, after all the years and all the changes, you're still you. Hello, lovers.
I never watched Sex and the City. I'm assuming you did.
No.
You never watched.
But so it is on the list of the shows that I want to start next.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm trying to convince my girlfriend to watch it. She's like, "Fuck no." But that's just not her jazz. There's no magic. There's no action or fighting or like whimsical shit. There's no vampires. So, she's like, yeah, no, I don't want to watch this show about...
Fan?
Huh?
Big Twilight fan?
Yeah, she loves Twilight, Vampire Diaries, yeah.
Yeah.
We're watching No One Gets Murdered. We're watching Dexter right now. Ooh. So it's going to be a tall order to get her to watch Sex and the City, but I do want to watch it.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get into the show. Watching that trailer though, coming into it pretty cold as far as like Sex and the City goes. It wasn't the best trailer I think in the world, but of course I'm coming into it with no history with the show, so maybe that's not fair. But what I will say is it will be interesting. What I'm really fascinated with all these shows that are sort of either getting rebooted or whatever the case is, seeing them adapt to like the times now, right? So now we've got Sarah Jessica Parker's character, who's probably a podcaster now or some shit, and you're just like, okay, so this is very now. Like, this isn't like 5 years ago. This is like, okay, they're all doing shit that's relevant to like right now. I'm sure there'll be no endless amount of millennial jokes in it. Like, millennials do this and we do this. And,
of course.
I'm sure of it. So it's very interesting to see all these things get rebooted, but like in today's space and time, and watch them as they fucking like morph into these sort of like cultural like reference machines, you know, where they just start spewing out a bunch of like fucking now momentary sort of like, you know, like they tap into the zeitgeist of now. That's what I'm trying to say. And I see no end of that with this. It seems like that's what this is going to be. But you know, for a lot of people, Sex and the City is a big fucking deal. So I'm sure having it back with the audience that it was able to capture, I'm sure that audience has grown obviously as the years have gone by, and now they get to sort of, okay, well, you're telling our story again. You know, that's essentially, I think, what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming in cold, it was like a, you know, it was an okay trailer. Yeah. But if you have context to, like, luckily I knew things about Sarah Jessica Parker's character. Yeah, true. No, it wasn't even that. I just can't get her name down. Sarah Jessica Parker.
Why is it so hard to say Sarah Jessica Parker?
I don't know. It's fucking. It's long. It's exhausting. There's a lot of letters.
Maybe it's like two first names in a row. Sarah Jessica.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening?
Are we talking about two people?
Yeah.
But what is her character's name again? It was like
I think it's
I don't care. So, you know, knowing that like she's the shopaholic and like she's in love with shoes, so when she goes to her closet and she's like, "Hello, loves," like that is like a classic, iconic moment for her.
Carrie, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, Carrie Bradshaw.
Okay, yeah, but like that's an iconic moment for her, right? The joke that they had when they were doing a podcast, like, "Have you masturbated in public?" And she says, "Not since Barney's closed." If you're watching the show,
I knew
or at least
what Barney's was.
Yeah, Barney's New York is like one of the biggest department stores, like luxury department stores in New York City, right? It's like, you know, we don't know about it. I've never been there. I don't have enough money to shop there. That's basically what that store is. So like little references like that would hit for the people who are familiar with the series. Coming in cold, you probably wouldn't get it, but you know, it's still a halfway decent trailer.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and watch the series, because I've been doing that. Like I'm in the middle of going through Star Trek and watching it. I'm not gonna lie, Star Trek slaps a little bit. Once you put it into the proper context and realize what time period it was made in, and you know, accept it for what it is. Again, I feel like a lot of, and we'll talk about this in our next segment, but I feel like a lot of people don't just accept the thing for like what the fuck it is, instead of like trying to impress upon it what they want it to be. And so I'm gonna go back and watch Sex and the City, and I'm not gonna hold it to like the standard of right now, but I'm going to accept it for what it was for the
You know? You gotta, whenever you're watching an old show, you have to put it in context. Like, yo, this is early 90s or this is early 2000s, whatever it is. You can't judge it as if it was made in 2020, 2021. That's silly. You're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, and I'm fully going to it not expecting to see any black characters at all.
None. No.
Yeah.
The concierge.
As long as they're the help.
Even in this trailer, there's only one black woman.
Well, I think it was two back. Was it? Isn't it?
I think it was just the one. You saw her twice. That's it.
Oh, fair. They just shot her from a different angle.
Yeah,
like, guys,
shoot her from the left, shoot her from the right, and then get her off the property.
So I guess that's one thing that they probably knew that they probably had to come back and tackle. I haven't seen the movies obviously either, but one might think that was something that they probably wanted to correct. You would have thought Girls would have the show with what was the name? The show Girls on HBO with Lena Dunham. Yeah. They in their early seasons had like nobody of color on.
Yeah.
Not even just black people, just anybody.
Yeah. Not even on the set.
No, not even helping out with the fucking, to deliver donuts. No, I was like, don't you deliver my donuts? Fuck do you think this is? We don't pay you Negroes. So yeah, let's move the fuck on here. We're gonna skip our next trailer and we're just gonna jump right into our main topics. Can you still rock for a little bit of time, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's jump into our main topics here. If I can find my camera, there we go. Okay, so for our first thing here, so news just broke during this past week that of course we're gonna get Spider-Man No Way Home coming up. I think in the next couple weeks, right? I forget exactly when the premiere date is for it. But basically, news just broke that we're potentially going to get another trilogy for Spider-Man films, and one could hope that it's still going to be starring Tom Holland, but who knows? I'll give you a direct quote here. So this is from Amy Pascal, who I guess is the higher up, I believe, at Sony. She says, this is not the last movie that we're going to make with Marvel. This is not the last Spider-Man movie. And we are getting ready to make the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and Marvel. We're thinking of this as 3 films. And now we're going to go on to the next 3 films. This is not the last of our MCU movies, which is huge fucking news, because what that for one means is that if we can remember all the way back to Far From Home, there was a big to-do about Sony and Marvel sharing the rights to Spider-Man.
Yep.
And that they would basically jointly sort of come out with these films. And basically, I think Sony was like, yeah, we don't feel like doing this shit anymore. And, proceeded to say, yeah, we're probably done with this. And then Marvel was like, I guess we're done. And then somehow they were able to sort of patch up together and be like, all right, fuck it. Let's just do one more fucking movie together. So this is big news, because what that means is that whatever differences that they had, they were able to sort of work it out. They're like, look, we're both eating. Let's continue to eat. And look, I believe that, and just like I feel like everybody is, because Marvel basically sold off all of their characters, and they're just now be like, oh shit, we got to get all these people back.
Yeah.
I think what it is like, yo, you're eating separately is not the same as eating together. Okay, like whatever money that a Spider-Man movie can make on its own, in the MCU, he's going to make that much more. And understanding that reality, I feel like, is what's helping them now, because having Spider-Man just do his own thing, all we're going to be doing the entire time is like, fuck.
Like, where's some of the other characters I love? Like,
where's Doctor Strange?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
where's Tony Stark? I know he's dead, but where is it? Like, it's just, that's all it's going to do, is make us wish that all these characters could get together, or have them share some sort of connected universe. Like that's what made the comic books so appealing, right? Is that on any given fucking issue, you could see a team up between the fucking X-Men and like fucking
Captain America and Wolverine.
You know what I mean? Like,
Spider-Man and who the fuck ever.
Yeah,
X-Men and
Spider-Man and
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, like that was it was just like, yo, everything's so unpredictable. You don't know who you're going to see and what, or what's going to happen. That's what's dope about seeing it now, and so seeing that split apart would just, all that would cause is like, we can't wait till they get back together. It's just like Ross and Rachel, right? Saw them break up, and you're like, well, I just know these two crazy kids are gonna work it out before this thing's over. And if they didn't, you'd be like, well, that was fucking for nothing. All right, well, moving on.
It'd be like reading like a story with like those CIA black excerpts where they like completely black it out so you can't read it, and it's like there's so much more story behind that black ink, but there's like, oh, you don't have the rights to it, so we can't tell that story. Yeah. Like, remove the black ink, remove the red tape. There's more. We can get more money together than not. I mean, that's why the Sinaloa cartel teamed up with the fucking the Guadalajara cartel. They're like, let's traffic this shit through the southern border of the United States. Let's get money together. Talking about drug trafficking. But Narcos, it's also, I mean, you know what? They're actually in the same business. Right? Marvel and Sony in the movie business. The shit is addictive. Let's team up. Let's traffic this shit together and tell better cocaine stories.
Cocaine stories. So basically, and I haven't watched Venom yet, but apparently it basically introduces. And you feel free to tell me, because I'm probably not going to watch it. It introduces Venom to the MCU, right? Is essentially what it does.
Somewhat. Can I tell you?
Sure.
So I think in the final scene of the movie, or it might be a post-credit scene, Tom Hardy and Venom are back at home watching TV, and on the TV, it's the story about Peter Parker is Spider-Man and the whole like Mysterio thing, and you see Venom like lean into the TV like, I know that guy. right? So he's saying, I know Spider-Man, and you can tell it's not in a good way. So that introduces Venom, that like connects Venom and Spider-Man, which you can imagine in a future movie, there's going to be an appearance there.
Well, maybe even in No Way Home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. What you were talking about a little while back was the idea of Blade and Morbius. And I vehemently sort of, not necessarily shot it down, but was basically saying, let's hold our horses on that, because Morbius is purely just a Sony product right now. It's not in this sort of combo deal that Spider-Man has. But now what this does is kind of, because they're clearly building towards a connected universe between Spider-Man, Venom, Morbius, and whoever the fuck else they decide to make a movie about. And so as they do that, well, if Spider-Man's staying basically in the MCU, what that means is that those characters are then going to be sort of transitioned by proxy to the MCU. And so we might get our Blade, Morbius sort of movie, whatever the fuck you want to call it, coming up. Yo, it would be hot, dude. Just put all of them in everything, yo. That shit would be fire. You know
what we got to hope for is that there are no like contingencies in this like agreement, right?
Well, and also too, let us say we don't know if it's official yet. That was just, I think, Amy Pascal. I forget who the fuck she was talking to in this case, but she was talking to, I think, Fandango or some shit. Which I really trust.
Yeah, Fandango. it was a contract reporter. I just do this freelance. Maybe misquoted.
Definitely just made the whole thing up. Just in a drunken.
But if this is true, you would hope there are no contingencies there where it's like, oh well, we're gonna work together. We're gonna do 3 more movies, but like we're not gonna do this, or you can't quite do that. Like because we want to do a standalone movie that tells that story. You gotta hope that they're like, you know what, like let's again remove some of the red tape. And like, there's a lot of really, really great story to tell here. So let's tell it all. And let's do it the right way the first time versus trying to save some of the content, some of the storytelling for future standalone movies that may not be as good as the shit we can do right now.
Yeah. And also, so Tom Holland actually sort of, I guess he was doing an interview, and I think that this was in France. He was somewhere else where they had like translate what, they were translating what he was saying into, I think, French. But I could be wrong about that. But basically, they were asking him like, "Yo, so what's up with this, fam? You doing 3 more?" And he's just like, Tom Holland is notorious for letting the cat out of the bag when it comes to anything movie related. And so he was just like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
sure, kind of, maybe, I don't know.
They just gotta stop telling him shit.
Well, maybe that's what they did in this case, and he just didn't know, and he was kind of taken off guard of like, is there 3 movies? Tell me.
Good,
but he's also said that he doesn't want to be fucking playing Spider-Man into his like 30s.
It's all good. We'll film it all right now.
8 movies back to back to back. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about another 3 Spider-Man movies. But I do know that I want clarity on the current state of the MCU. Because right now, and one could say perhaps it was because of the pandemic, but it feels like really fractured. Whereas with the first few phases, it felt like there was a very clear build.
Yeah.
And now it feels like we're going in a lot of different directions. And I guess it's all centering around this idea of a multiverse, right? Mm-hmm. But also it feels really fractured. Like
I don't know. I mean, I think what we got from like Loki, right? Basically kind of like setting up the stage for these multiple universes. And then we see the reference again in what we're going to get in Spider-Man. We see some of it in obviously we've got Doctor Strange and the madness of the multiverse or whatever coming pretty soon. So I think we're getting the sprinklings of it and it's slowly building towards the thing. But I can see like what they're building towards. I just don't know what the thing is yet. But it is very exciting to like see it referenced in Loki, to see Kang in Loki. And I think there might be a Kang reference coming in like the, as far as I understand, there's been a leak that there may be a Kang reference in Spider-Man as well. And then obviously I think we're going to get that in Doctor Strange. I don't know. I like I like when things seem scattered and random in the beginning. And then you get to that point where like you see it like, oh fuck, that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
And then it comes to life. And I think that's what happened with Endgame.
But I feel like there's so much that they've put out. I mean, one could argue that they put out like I think it was like 8 movies before we got the first Avengers movie. That might be wrong. That's definitely wrong.
No, I think there was like
Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and
Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they put out maybe like 16 movies before we got Infinity War.
Oh, no, not Infinity War. I'm talking about the first Avengers.
Okay, yeah. Shit, I don't know. Like, it had to have been like 10 or 12. Because it was Infinity War, and then there was like 2. It was like
no. I'm talking about the first Avengers movie. So this is literally all the way back in 2012, I think. So you had Iron Man, which came out in 2008, I think. And then you had Thor that came out after that, Captain America that came out after that, and I want to say Hulk came out before those.
I think it came out before.
Yeah. But I think I can only remember those 4 movies, and maybe Iron Man 2 also came out.
Yeah, Iron Man 2 definitely came out before Avengers. Yeah,
but it was like only like 5 things, right? Whereas now it feels like we're getting, and again, maybe it's because of the pandemic and how that kind of slowed everything down. But it feels like we're getting a lot of things with no like overarching. This is the thing. Like we had the Avengers to look forward to, right? Like for years it was like rumored they're going to come out with the Avengers movie. And then, sure enough, that's what they were building towards. This, what the fuck is the thing we're building towards? Like, what is it? What is the movie? I guess you could argue maybe Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and maybe we'll get a little more clarity after that. But that feels like a Doctor Strange movie. That doesn't feel like it's a thing that we're building towards, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what the thing is yet, but everything that I've seen coming out of Marvel so far, I've thoroughly enjoyed. So whether we get the thing sooner than we expect, or maybe it's a little bit down the road. Maybe they're going to like really take their time and build up towards it. I think we can trust Marvel on this.
Yeah.
If this were DC, I need to know now. You know, I need to know.
We need clarity.
Even what's coming 8 years from now. Yeah. I need to know today. If it's Marvel, I trust you guys.
Yeah. You've earned that respect. Dude, let's move on to our next story. Unpopular movie opinions. So what got me talking about this was I was seeing what was trending on Twitter, and The Last Jedi was trending on Twitter for random reason. I don't know why exactly. The Last Jedi was trending, but one of the main things that everybody was talking about as I was scrolling through all the comments was how much they actually loved The Last Jedi. Now, for everybody who's like, I don't know what the fuck are you talking about? The Last Jedi is despised by the faithful Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. They hate this movie.
That's the one with Darth Maul? No,
this is the one that came out.
What episode is it?
2017, 16, somewhere around there. This is episode 8, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the one after Force Awakens and before The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So this is the one, and if you could remember, this is one where like we're basically getting our first glimpse of Luke Skywalker and kind of like what happened with him and Kylo Ren and yada yada. People loathe, or Star Wars fans loathe this movie because it's such a departure. At least it feels like it's such a departure from everything they've sort of known with the Star Wars films, right? And I'm not going to bore everybody with like the ways in which people say it's completely different, but I will say that what I kind of came away with the conclusion after looking at this thread was that watching the Star Wars movies individually is far more pleasing to me than trying to think about them together. I think that the reason why people had such a hard time, not only with this movie, but the new sequels that we got between The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, is that together they it wasn't a cohesive thing. And even this has been verified. Like I think J.J. Abrams or whoever has already come out and been like, yeah, we didn't really do this all like together. We kind of just piecemealed it, as we sort of like went along. And it feels like that. It doesn't feel very cohesive. It feels like some very different ideas that were kind of just thought of at the moments that they were thought of.
Yeah.
But watching them individually, great experience, right? I don't know if I love the movie, but I have no problems with the movie, or at least I don't don't have this hatred of the movie. I like it. I like the movies. I like The Force Awakens. I like The Last Jedi. I like Rise of Skywalker. I remember me and you left the theater of Rise of Skywalker, but like, that was pretty fucking dope.
That shit was great. Yeah. So staying on the Star Wars track, right, of like unpopular opinions, dude, I don't care what anybody says. As good as the original Star Wars films were for the time that they were created, let's be real. The sequels were much better than the prequels, right? So Revenge. No,
I can't say that.
No,
wait. The sequels, as in The Force Awakens and all that stuff, is better than.
So the more recent ones, right? These are the
sequels. Okay, so let me. So you've got the prequels, which start with Episode 1, Phantom Menace, then Attack of the Clones, then The Revenge of the Sith, then A New Hope, then The Empire Strikes Back, then the Return of the Jedi, and then you have the new sequel, which is Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and then Rise of Skywalker.
Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, all the new shit is way better than the old shit. One of my personal favorites, if I could give you a quick list in no particular order, I think Revenge of the Sith was great.
Unpopular opinions. Everybody's now going back and being like, and this is like 20 years removed from them. Everybody now is going back and be like, that shit wasn't too bad. At the time, everyone hated it. And I think it's because like Christian Haydenson was so easy to hate as like a young Anakin. And I'm like, he was dry emotionally. We have nuance here. We have nuance here on the podcast, right? We can admit two things. Two things can be true.
Yeah.
The prequels could be pretty fucking dope. His acting in them can be complete shit. And I actually like Christian Haydenson.
I like Christian Haydenson. I think he was a little bit like emotionless as a young
it wasn't even emotionless. It was
young Skywalker,
the believability of his emotions were called into question. But I blame that honestly more on the directing than I do him as an actor. And now he was a young actor at the time, but I think that had he been given better direction and honestly better dialogue, period,
he would
have been fine. And honestly, that with the prequels, that's like my major problem is just that the dialogue was just not good with them.
So I mean, like, again, I think the more recent Star Wars films that we got are better than episodes 1 through 5 in my opinion.
No. So the reason why what you're saying is confusing is because you're actually talking about the Revenge of the Sith when you within that
was episode
1 through 3 is Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones.
Revenge of the Sith was episode 3. Chronologically
episode 3.
So we right.
It's so
what's
fucking
confusing.
It started with episode 4, which is A New Hope, which is what started it all, and then Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi. That was all back in like the 80s, 70s, and 80s.
Fuck their chronological order or whatever. You know what I mean.
Sure.
The more recent shit
I'm trying to clarify for people. So
the more recent shit is better. Starting with Revenge of the Sith, I really like that movie and the shit we've gotten since. And I only have a few more minutes here. So I want to list off like 2 or 3 other unpopular opinions that I've come across that I absolutely agree with. This movie is super hated. It's very underrated. In my opinion, it was maybe one of the best in the franchise. Batman and Robin. That shit was great. I remember as a kid watching, because this is the one with Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. I think George Clooney as Batman. Was it George Clooney?
Yeah, George Clooney. Yeah.
And who played Robin again?
Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah. Dude, I remember watching them, you see the bat sign and then they all like start running down. I remember watching that shit like, yo, this is legendary. And you know what?
Isn't that just nostalgia though? Because
as
this
a
movie, kid, I thought that shit was, when's the last time you watched it?
It's been years.
Yeah. What I would contest is that go back and actually watch that and tell me if you still have the same, because I feel like they got us. Because as kids, when we're seeing them fucking run down with the fucking new suits on and shit, we're like, yo, this shit is fire.
That shit was fire.
But I feel like as like adults, we're kind of like, I mean, we've seen that 1,000 times. And what do you have besides that?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's, I don't know. I could be wrong, but fair enough. I respect your opinion that it's a very unpopular opinion to say.
Yeah, people hate that movie. I don't know why. So my next one on the list is like people.
I think it's because of the nipples, because of Batman's.
Yeah, he did have nipples in the bad suit.
For you to have nipples,
yeah. Another one is like people love Frozen, right? And then some will say that Frozen 2 was better just because it was bigger, it was more theatrical. They just did everything. They upped it like 2 or 3 notches, right? But I think Frozen 1 was better. The first one was better. The soundtrack was better. The story was better. I remember watching that with my daughter, and she's like, "Oh, Daddy, let's watch Frozen." And I'm like, cool, let's watch this shit. I want to see this shit. Let's watch it. So I watched it with her, and I was, at a certain point, I had to be like, get the fuck off me. Like, this shit is amazing. Like, what's about to happen? And then I took her to see Frozen 2 in the theaters, and I remember watching it, and like this was like the first one we watched at home on like a 42-inch TV, right? Frozen 2, we're in the theaters watching it on the big fucking screen, and I remember thinking like this movie's really good, but like the first one was a little bit better. Not a lot of people would agree with that. My last little note here was in the Spider-Man universe, Into the Spider-Verse is clearly the best Spider-Man movie of all time.
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion.
You sure? I mean, I think a lot of people would say
no. People,
I mean, I know the IMDb rating is up there.
People love this movie.
Also, shout out to Issa Rae. She's been confirmed as she's been casted. She's going to be in the next Into the Spider-Verse film. My last one here on the list. Sorry, I had it here somewhere. Where the fuck is this? Oh, so I saw this one thing about like, so there are apparently a good amount of people who think Jesse Eisenberg was very good as Lex Luthor. It seems like there's somewhat of a popular opinion that he did well in that role as Lex Luthor. I'm going to say fuck that and fuck those people.
I also think that's the opposite. I think people had thought strongly that he had a poor performance.
So when I saw this one, I looked it up, and a lot of the people, or at least a lot of the reviews that I've seen, have said like he did a good job. He was quirky and silly, which people liked in a Lex Luthor, and not like the serious businessman that gets reflected sometimes in the animated series. They thought he did a good job. Whether this is an unpopular opinion or not, here's my opinion. Fuck Jesse Eisenberg in this movie. He was absolutely terrible. I don't know what anybody was thinking. As soon as like he, all the you, Mr. Wayne, like as soon as he started doing that shit, they should have been like, yo, get this guy off of the fucking lot right now. That shit was horrible.
Yeah.
All right, those are my 3. I know you got a few things to get to, so I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a fluid list. Look, it's a lot easier. What I realized in trying to put this list together, not even a list, but just a couple of notes that I put together, is that it's way easier to hate a movie, to say that you hate a movie that everybody loves or hate a thing that everybody loves, than to find something that everybody hates that you actually like.
Yeah, like candy corn. I love candy corn.
We are complete opposites in that. I often wonder what curse upon the world was made to bring us candy corn, but fair enough. So I tried to really stay away from anything that I hated that everybody else loved. I want to go positive, and then that's my theme now. Is like I don't feel like I want to talk about something that I hate often. Like I only want to mention it when I just really feel compelled to. Because it's like, what's the use, right? One of the movies that I thought was really underrated, or not even underrated, I don't even care how it's rated, but that I just really just fucking adore. I don't know if you remember a movie called Sweet November with Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron, where basically he's this dude who doesn't fucking, I guess, get along with that many people, and then he meets this woman, but she's like dying of cancer or some shit. I don't know what the fuck she's dying of. She's dying of something. And they only have a short amount of time, and she's kind of trying to push him away, but he's like, no, I really like you. And then she ends up dying at the end. Sorry, spoiler alert for you guys. I've always adored this movie, but it's panned pretty critically by everybody. But it's just one of those movies that I watch at the right time, and it's like one of those fall movies. I just pop in, watch it. I don't know. Pop in. I don't think I'm popping.
You got a VCR,
DVD player anymore. But I've always liked that. And it was when I first started to realize, I guess Keanu Reeves can't really do anything wrong. Because I remember watching it. Everybody always pans the
Lake House.
Lake House.
Great movie.
Everybody, I love it.
Love that
love
movie.
This movie.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, nah, it's shit. I'm like, but it's good shit.
Yeah.
I like it. So basically anything that Keanu Reeves does, I'm usually pretty into. For one reason or another, he usually can't miss.
Yeah.
Another really now this one I know for sure is unpopular. Yeah, I couldn't help but kind of like the latest Fantastic Four movie that we got with Michael B. Jordan. Yep. Not Rooney Mara, but Kate Mara.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who played Reed Richards and Ben Grimm and all that. But I actually kind of fuck with it. And why everybody hated it, I kind of don't know. I don't get it. I kind of just went along with it like, yeah, that sucked. I was like, I might watch this shit again. I don't know. That shit was kind of fireballs. But yeah, that's my superhero movie that everybody else hated, but I kind of actually dug.
I didn't mind it. I mean, I do think Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer was probably the best among the four films, but
that's a tough sell. I'm not gonna lie. That's unpopular. That's definitely an unpopular.
Really? No, Silver Surfer in that movie, he was smooth as a bitch.
Well, let's put it this way: it was panned so much that it forced them to be like, "Yo, let's just rethink this whole shit. Let's recast. let's get all new people in here." Another very unpopular opinion: I fuck with Vampire in Brooklyn. Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Who don't fuck with that?
Pretty much everybody else.
The white people who moved into Brooklyn shortly after was like, this is ours now. Of course,
mine now.
They don't want a black vampire running around. But no, this is a great movie.
You know, and honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know if I can call it a great movie so much as it's just one of those nostalgia things that I just watched it all the fucking time when I was a kid. It just never didn't play on TV for some reason. And I just remember really just having a good time. It's fucking silly. It's Eddie Murphy as a fucking vampire. Was he supposed to be Dracula in it? Who the fuck was he supposed to be?
No, I think he was supposed to be a vampire, yeah.
And then fucking who's the dude?
Arsenio Hall?
Dwayne from Different World.
Oh yeah.
I forget what
his name's not gonna come to me.
But I remember him like kind of slowly like degrading as the movie started.
His hand would fall off. He'd be like, man, what the fuck? His name's Kadeem Hardison. He played Julius Jones.
Yeah, you know, I really fuck with it.
John Witherspoon was in this movie.
Yeah.
Angela Bassett was in this movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, man. So I feel like I say all this to say that, look, watching movies, it's an opinion, and I'm guilty of it too, right? Like there will be sometimes you say something like when you said Batman and Robin, I was like, ooh, or when you said Silver Surfer, I was like, ooh, yeah, right. But we do have to just appreciate how movies, it's all opinion based, right? Like no opinion should override everybody else's opinion, right? So when a critic or even just fans say that they either like or hate a movie, that doesn't mean that everybody should like or hate that movie. It just means that if you watch it, you fuck with it, right? Or you've watched it and you don't fuck with it. So when people are talking about the Star Wars, either sequels, prequels, or anything else, or originals, I feel like what needs to happen is for you to fucking recognize that whatever opinion you have about said movie is your own opinion.
Yeah.
Right? And what happens online is that people don't fucking like somehow that gets detached when people are speaking online because they speak about it as if this is the definitive thing for this thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I remember watching the original Star Wars movies because I watched it after, like, I watched it after, way after Star Wars was a thing, right? I watched it probably late 90s, early 2000s is one of my first real experience actually like sitting down and watching the Star Wars films. And I just was like, oh, okay. Like I wasn't, but I felt compelled to be like, you know, oh my God, this is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever seen because of how fanatic everybody was about the movies and how nostalgic everybody was talking about, you know, the different scenes and the Wookiees and the Ewoks. And well, I guess I don't know if everybody loves it. Right? I forget where we stand on the Ewoks situation.
Who doesn't like the Ewoks?
I think they're kind of whack, but fair enough. That's just me. But I felt compelled to like it because everybody else liked it, even though I was kind of like, eh. And then when the prequels came along, at the time, I didn't really fuck with the Phantom Menace that much. Attack of the Clones, I was like, eh. When the Revenge of the Sith came out, I was like, this movie's hot. I don't know who the fuck's talking about anything. This movie's
who doesn't like this?
Hot right now. Especially with that fucking, the last battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, yep.
Fucking dope shit, you know, dope shit they were doing there. And I can see why people either like it or don't like it or whatever the case is, but I still thought it was dope. And to just step on other people because they're saying they either like something or don't like something. And I just watched a recent video on The Last Jedi basically explaining what the fuck was actually going on and what the thought process was that was going on into the Last Jedi. And it makes sense, dude. Like, I feel like if you just kind of take it on its own, it makes sense. You know? But anyways, I digress. That's my soapbox, and I'm gonna get off of it.
No, but I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, no matter what the film is, what the movie is, what the show is, like, opinions are just opinions. I never take someone's online opinion, or even like, you know, people I trust and respect in person. Like, if you come to me, you say, yo, like, this movie was shit. Like, I had people tell me, like, yo, The Eternals is garbage. Don't watch it. I went to the theaters to see it. And you know what? I still really like the movie.
Yeah, I still don't understand why people thought it was garbage. Like, for the people who are like, I thought it was amazing, I kind of don't understand that. For the people who are like, I thought it was terrible, I kind of don't understand that.
You know why? Because a lot of times when people have those really strong opinions and when you ask them, like, why, like, explain why you think it's garbage, they can't. They'll usually just say more fluff stuff like, oh man, like, it was trash. It didn't make sense. It was silly. It was like, well, what didn't make sense? What was silly? And once you ask those questions, usually it's just like an emotion that they have. Or maybe like they were like told to feel that way. Like somebody else said it was trash. So they're like, oh yeah, I think it's trash too. Where it's like, you got to be able to tell me why you feel the way you feel about the thing for me to respect your opinion on it. If you just say, oh, it was trash, I'm like, cool. You know, I appreciate your thoughts, but I'm going to go see it myself and decide for myself.
I think that people, like, again, going back to Star Wars, people have very specific ideas for why they don't like the sequels that just more recently came out. But even within that, I'm kind of like, a lot of times for me, it's based in what you wanted to have happen instead of just accepting what has happened.
Yeah.
Right. And I will agree that the sequels honestly don't, as you take them as a whole, they're not cohesive, right? Or as cohesive as the last two trilogies that we got. But I would say that if you're a person who's not watching them just purely for tracking each fucking thing, taking them individually, I like the movie. What the fuck you want me to say here? You know, I'm not going to tell you I fucking hate something when I think it's fucking dope.
Shoot me.
Yeah.
Unless you're Alec Baldwin.
Oh, Jesus. All right, right.
Check the gun first, please,
Jesus
Alec.
Right. Anyways, so that's the long story short here is fucking movies, they're art, and you can have opinion about the movie, but the moment I feel like you're wrong is when you try to impress that opinion upon other people, when you're saying that other people should or shouldn't like a thing based on the fact of your opinion.
Yeah.
But literally, they're all movies. It's all just opinions.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the tweet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting the fuck out of here. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. We appreciate you, love you. Thank you for supporting us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, do all the fucking shit that you should do online. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Then we will hit our very usual protocol.
Fade out.
Peace. I don't know why he had nipples on the bat suit. That was weird.
It's for the women. Bring the female view.